What's going on YouTube? Welcome in, I'm LiboATM as always, and thanks for coming to another video here on the channel. Today we are going to be looking at the new killer introduced into Dead by Daylight, who is Nemesis from Resident Evil. If you watched my Trickster video before this, basically what I do in this video is I'll give a kind of brief review, initial thoughts on the killer. I'll talk you through what I believe to be his best build, and then also a series of recommended builds that you could do with his teachables. I'm really enjoying Nemesis, to be honest. I think he's a really good killer, but we'll get into that in our first section, which is the Nemesis review. So Nemesis, the big boy, the tall chap. I love Nemesis. I think he is really fun to play as. I think it's going to take a lot of practice to get good with him though, and I think from a survivor point of view, it can be quite annoying to go as, but annoying in the same way that like Pyramid Head's annoying or Death Slinger's annoying and things like that, because of just the way he's been designed. So let's break it down a little bit. So we'll start by playing as Nemesis. So Nemesis will have his special attack, which is he can hit you with his tentacles. The first one will infect you, the second one will put you into injured, the third one will put you into dying. There's a lot of chatter around how that works, and people are saying that the speed boost from the first one should be removed because it's not taking away a health state. I don't particularly agree with that, because I think if they do that then it will be ridiculously overpowered. I think the speed boost is necessary. The precedent's been set by other killers, that when they're hit and a health state is changed, even if it's not putting you into injured, it gives the speed boost. So like Legion's Frenzy, Death Slinger's like gun, like when you get put into the deep wound rather than the injured state, you get the speed boost. So I think that kind of falls into the next point I wanted to cover, is how people are playing Nemesis. What I've found from playing him in live and in the PTV is people's strategy is, oh, I need to get as many people infected as humanly possible and build up to tier 3, and then that's when I'm really going to dominate. I do not think that's the way to play Nemesis. I think that you need to play Nemesis as an incredibly aggressive M1 killer and use the tentacle attack to get hits when you genuinely wouldn't. So if someone's further away to get like a lunge attack on, but they're going to vault a window or drop a pallet like you would with Pyramid Head, then that's when you use your tentacle and get a hit when you wouldn't have normally. And if that's putting them into infected or it's causing a health state, oh, like brilliant. But I think that Nemesis should be played as a super aggressive M1 killer, rather than trying to constantly rely on his special ability like you would with like Huntress or Nurse or something like that is key to playing that character, which I think is fine, and therefore I think playing against them is also fine to an extent. And I think this is probably where a lot of people are saying that I think Nemesis is like a C tier killer. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think Nemesis is high A tier. If you're going to get into it, I just think that the issue that people have is that killers don't know how to play Nemesis yet, but survivors know how to play against them, because there's too many other killers that are similar with how they shut down loops. So it's not fun to come against as a survivor, because basically any of your resources are no longer available to you, like pallets and windows, which you would use against killers to stay alive, now are like, you can be zoned away from them or they're not safe. So that's not fun, but survivors are used to that with like Huntress, with Death Slinger, with Pyramid Head. Their abilities all do the same thing, so the game plan for survivors is already kind of there, so they're using that against Nemesis. But obviously new Nemesis players don't have how to play Nemesis down, so they're struggling, which makes him appear weaker than he is. And I think after a few weeks, as people settle in and get better with him, you will start to see that he moves, like people will see him for how good he really is. That being said, unfortunately, the only way really I've found to play against Nemesis with any sort of varying degrees of success is just the whole W strat, like pre-throw pallets when you've got distance, get as much distance as you can, don't try and loop around unsafe loops or medium wall loops. Like if you're against a high wall loop, then that's fine, but if you're at like a medium height one, like some of the ones in Macmillan or the game, the tentacles can go over the top of that and then you can still get hit. So yeah, unfortunately it's another killer that's the whole W strat, which doesn't make it fun to play as Nemesis as, because people will just continually just keep running and you don't get to mind game or play tiles. but unfortunately that's just the way of things. I think other than that though, I think, as I said, I think he's incredibly powerful in chase. I think he's incredibly powerful at tiles and loops. And the added extra as well that everyone's talking about is the zombies. I think people are honestly making too much of a deal about the zombies. I think a few Twitch clips and stuff have came out about zombies downing people, and yes, there are the rare occasions where zombies will come into play and kind of really mess things up. But I don't think that they're OP in any way, stretch of the imagination. They are very easy to navigate away from. The only way that you would be in that position is if it's like near a hook when you're hooked and it's kind of proxy camping the hook, or when they're pressuring you off generators when the killer is not near. They're the key points and they're the annoying points. But like it's kind of like pig with our bear traps, I think, is the way the zombies are, that you're not automatically going to get a lot of value. They're not going to take health states and kill survivors, but what it is going to do is passively gain you time, because it's going to push people away from gens, it's going to push people away from safe loops and stuff like that if they're there, and it's more of an irritation than it is like an active factor, if that makes sense. That being said, I know that there are instances where zombies have downed people straight off hook and downed people, or like kind of cornered people between the killer and a zombie, so I know that it is there. I just don't think it's as big a problem as the community's kind of making it out to be. So that's my thoughts on Nemesis. Excellent killer, pretty fun to play as. Not the most fun to play against, but the strategies are there to survive. So this section is now going to be on Nemesis's best build. So I want to just make it clear just now that this is just my opinion. I'm not saying that this is a build that everyone should run and blah blah blah. Just for me, this is the build based on how I will be playing, or how I play Nemesis and how I think Nemesis should be played. This is the build that gets me the most amount of value. So as I said in the review, as I think Nemesis should be approached as an incredibly aggressive M1 killer and use your power to get you hits that you wouldn't usually have, so the build is kind of focused around that. So on the screen just now is the build. We have got Corrupt Intervention to help you with the early game and push people towards you. Pop Goes the Weasel to get your aggression, because the aim with this is you're going to be playing super aggressive and you're going to be getting hook stakes fairly regularly. Barbecue and Chili, so once you hook people you get visibility so you can move directly to your next target. And Save the Best for Last to give you that cooldown on your basic attack and your lunge attacks, so that you can basically continue in chases and again continue to get people down quicker and quicker. The add-ons I've got there is the Ink Ribbon one and Marvin's Blood, which basically the Ink Ribbon gives you the zombie movement speed increase, so it makes them a little bit more effective, and it kind of helps you with that kind of free pressure on the gens and it loops. And Marvin's Blood basically allows you to get more infection per like tentacle hit on a survivor, so it'll let you go up the tiers quicker, which will allow you to kind of break pallets and objects quicker, which will help you in your kind of aggressive chases. So that's the kind of synergy around the build. So you want the Corrupt Intervention to push people towards you. You want to start getting stacks of Save the Best for Last so that you can move between people incredibly quickly, and then use the combination of Barbecue and Pop to kind of make sure that the game, that you're not getting gen rushed and you're using that progress, and then find people to start the cycle over again. So to me, that is Nemesis's best build. Okay, now we're on to the section of the suggested builds for Nemesis Teachable. So if you watched my Trickster video, basically I gave you 4 builds that where you could basically make kind of meme builds around, or fun builds around Nemesis's Teachables. I know some of them aren't the best in terms of power, but then again, you can, if you want to have a bit of fun and a laugh, you can put these together. So the first one is the Lethal Pursuer build. So Lethal Pursuer shows you the survivor's locations and auras when you start the trial. So I've paired this with Corrupt Intervention and then Enduring and Brutal Strength, because basically once this perk goes, it's gone and you're down to 3 perks. So basically what you want to be is just as aggressive as humanly possible. So you want to know where they are, know that they can't work around gens where they start off the trial, and you want to just be right on them and taking health states and getting people down and on hooks, because you're basically just going to be after a minute and a half 2 perks, and basically these perks are just going to help you in chase. So that's my Lethal Pursuer one. The second one is Hysteria. So Hysteria basically makes people oblivious when you hit them with a special or a basic attack. So basically, if you want to play this build, I've put it together with Sloppy Butcher, Thanatophobia and Save the Best for Last, so you're going to get the reduced cooldown on your hits with Save the Best for Last, and then Sloppy Butcher and Thanatophobia are going to make it harder for people to heal out of that, so you can try and take advantage of like some of the oblivious states you've got going on, because all injured survivors become oblivious rather than just the one you've hit. So anyone who's injured in trial will be oblivious when you hit someone. So Thanatophobia and Sloppy Butcher should help prolong that and have more people oblivious. And the final one is the Eruption build, which is when you kick a generator, the next time you put someone into the dying state, it will pop and cause a certain amount of resurgence. So what I've done for this is basically just a full regression build. So you've got Eruption, which you can pair with Surge, which will also regress generators when you put people into the dying state within a certain distance. Surveillance, so that you can see what gens have been popped and what ones are then regressing. And then Pop Goes the Weasel, because then you can get that value. I was contemplating you could maybe put Ruin in there rather than Pop Goes the Weasel, but I think because you're going to want to go out your ways to kick the gens for Eruption, Pop Goes the Weasel's a better fit, because if you have Ruin, then you're kind of losing all the value from Eruption until Ruin's broken, which will be 5 seconds into the map, because that's how it works. So there's a series of builds you can run using Nemesis Teachables. You can run that again on any killer. That's the whole point of them, that it's not just Nemesis. You can run it on any killer in Dead by Daylight. You have those teachable ones, and should get you some value. Again, they are quite memey, yeah, they are quite specific, but they're just for a bit of fun, and it's something that you can get some use out of the perk, so you don't unlock them and then never use them, basically. Okay guys, so that's us talked about the new Tall Man Nemesis. So we've got through all of the reviews and the initial impressions. We've talked about his best build, we've talked about suggested builds for his teachables, and I hope that you guys find that helpful, and I hope that it can help some people out when they're trying to play. I know it's not a quote-unquote guide of how to play him, but it's just some thoughts, impressions and builds to help you on your way. So thank you so much for everyone who's joined in. I have been LiboATM as always. Please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, come follow me over on Twitch as well, where I stream a couple of times a week. It's twitch.tv/LiboATM. Yeah, and that's that guys. Thank you again so much. The support is always greatly appreciated, and it means so much as a newer creator of content for DBD. And until I see you lovely people again next time, peace!